Right now, this is a gold nugget of advice I was given by a mentor. Okay, so this is free. Can y'all handle it? Okay, this is free. Okay. Now first, let me do this. So let me talk to the guys first. Guys, when it comes to her wedding day, she has been planning this day her entire life. She got her first wedding magazine when she was 14. She draped the blanket around her like it was her wedding dress when she was a teenager. She did the towel over her head. It was a little veil, all the stuff. She's been planning this day her whole life. So here's what you need to do, man. When it comes to that day, just stand where she tells you to stand, wear what she tells you to wear, and do what she tells you to do. You'll make her the happiest woman in the world, okay? Now, I got an amen. Let's see if you amen this. Now, ladies, when it comes to his wedding night, he has been planning this day his whole life. So just stand where he tells you to stand, wear what he tells you to wear, and do what he tells you to do, and you're gonna make him the happiest man in the world.
All right, welcome to the Church Dropout podcast. My name is Alan. I'm joined by
Lisa.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Church Dropout is a podcast. We talk about issues, topics, and teachings related to faith, life, and culture in ways that are sometimes funny, sometimes serious, but always insightful. If you have not already, please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast at. We would appreciate it. And so today we're going to talk about a pastor, Josh
Howerton.
Howerton. And I'm not sure if you've heard of it. I'm just going to set it up. We're going to watch a video and then we'll talk about it. But to give you a quick rundown, he had some words to say about the marriage night or couples on
the wedding
night. I'm sorry. And what he said was offensive to some in terms of to women, and how he portrayed women should act on their marriage night. Okay, so went viral, all types of stuff, backlash with regards to that. He felt it. You know what I mean? The internet never loses. Internet is undefeated. So he felt it and he apologized. Okay. And what we're going to do is look at the video of his apology. The problem is that his apology is deafeningly close to another pastor's apology for something he said. And so we're going to look at the video, comparing the two, and then we're just going to talk about this a little bit. Now, credit goes to Julie Royce. This is on her website. Yeah. I think she was the one who actually found, they were the one who actually found the correlation between the two videos. So I don't know, the research is amazing in that sense. But you can go to julieroyce.com, read the article. We'll take a look at the video, and then we'll have some comments afterwards.
All right.
Go ahead.
Church, if you got your Bibles, and I hope you do, grab them. We're going to be in Psalm 34, and as you find your way to Psalm 34, I just need to address a thing.
I need to address a thing. I'm going to address a thing, okay?
The Bible says in Proverbs 12:18 that careless words stab like a sword, and wise words lead to healing.
It says that careless words can stab like a sword, but that wise words lead to healing.
And what the Bible means in Proverbs 12, when it says careless words stab like a sword, it means regardless of your intent, like if I was careless with a pocket knife and it slipped out of my hand and stabbed you in the face.
And what that verse means is that even if somebody had a steak knife and they had the intent to cut their steak and their hand slipped and accidentally stab you in the face.
Church, I need you to hear this, okay? 3 things. I love you. I love you. I love this church. I love getting to do this thing together.
Hey, I need you to hear 3 things. Number 1, I love you. Listen, Lake Point Church, I love you more than you will ever imagine. I stay awake thinking about you. I pray for you every day. This is the honor of my life.
And again, I am sorry. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for the grace that you give me every single week to stand up here and do what I get to do. And I hope by God's grace, I'll get to do this for decades and decades to come.
I'm sorry for careless words. I'm sorry about that. And number 3, thank you for your grace to me. I want to be doing this with you for decades and decades and decades. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I just cannot believe this. This is just like I'm dumbfounded. It is
Hmm.
exactly
Yeah.
like, honestly, there's no way that two people in this world, there's no big coincidence that they give the exact same apology using the exact same three things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And then what really irritated me with Josh
Hmm.
was him looking, instead of
Into the camera.
yeah,
Yeah.
instead of talking to talking to the church, you're looking directly into the camera. It just seemed very inauthentic, very um scripted.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Yeah. I I was, again, being a pastor or former pastor, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt,
Mhm.
not for stealing the plagiarizing, like,
Uh-uh.
there's all types of Bible softwares, that people use to study and stuff like that. And it
Mhm.
has like sermon examples
Mhm.
and you know what I mean? Like it
Mhm.
has, other people's sermons in
Mhm.
there and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And,
Mhm.
maybe he got it from there. I'm not
Mm.
saying he shouldn't have used it. I'm just
Mhm.
saying like maybe that's a whole nother thing to bring up. Like,
Mhm.
you know, um, I don't know. I
So
was
like a
just
template, like there's a template
well,
out there
sometimes
that
no, like in there's other sermons. There's other
Mm.
people's sermons. Like,
Mhm.
like you can look up like in Logos Bible software, you
Mhm.
can, you'll see you could type in, you know, like if you type in a passage, you could see who preached on this. Like
Mhm.
it's usually popular pastors and different
Mhm.
things of that sort. I don't know
Mhm.
how popular that other guy is or not. I'm
Mhm.
just trying to, think about this clearly. Where could he
Mhm.
have gotten this from? Or,
Yeah.
did he go online
Mhm.
and do that?
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe he even used AI and he
Mhm.
thought, because AI just pulls from the interwebs.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way,
Either way.
it's an issue.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's a problem. And I've been thinking about this, just a little bit in terms of like, I asked you like, why would someone why would he feel like he needs to plagiarize an apology?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like why would you feel like you need to plagiarize an apology?
And do you remember what I said?
No, go ahead, tell me. Refresh me.
I said either you don't mean it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey, I got to put something together real quick and get this out,
Mm,
Google.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Or you just honestly didn't know how to do it. You know what I mean? And you wanted to be successful about it.
Yeah.
And so you Google, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my two options. Either he
Yeah.
didn't want to do it or he, didn't know how to do it.
Yes. Yeah. And I think those are two great things. Yeah. I mean, again, he didn't seem very
Genuine.
genuine,
No,
but I looking at his other messages,
that's his personality.
yeah, yeah, and I think that I guess I'll talk about this a little bit too. I just think that it's kind of the personality of these large church
Mm-hmm.
pastors.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
everything is a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Even the first guy who said
Mm-hmm.
it, it just sounded like it was a presentation. Not
Mm-hmm.
that they were not sincere, but it was
Mm-hmm.
just carefully cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And um, I don't know. If he, I think definitely the pressure got to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He felt like he had to say something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He had weeks to respond to it. Even if you were going to look online and get an idea of how to apologize, like why do you need to take the whole
Right.
thing? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
not just say, oh yeah, no, this passage speaks of this,
Mm-hmm.
and let me use the passage and go from there.
Yeah. Especially when I feel like that the first pastor, he's speaking to his congregation, and each congregation is different. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so you should know your congregation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe that was what was needed in that type of apology towards his congregation,
Yeah.
you know? And so, I just, I thought it was poor taste.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to admit to it, because it does, I think the Roy's report reached out to him for an apology,
Mm-hmm.
and they hadn't heard back before they posted this.
Right.
So, maybe he's, going to
Well,
respond.
he needs to.
Yes.
And if there is a leadership community there that
Mhm.
holds him accountable,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
he needs to. And to be
How would
honest,
you feel as somebody in the congregation
oh, I
if you found this out?
well,
And you were there the day that he apologized, and then a week or two later, or however later, then you're like, you read Julie Roy's report, and you're just like, oh my goodness, like, how
yeah.
would you feel?
Well, from the article, I think there's some hints of this that have happened in the past with him, just in terms
Mm.
of things that he said and different things of that sort. So he's
Mhm.
so he's been kind of in controversial situations before.
Mhm.
Um, but let me just be honest. I probably wouldn't be there in the first place
Mhm.
because I just don't like silly pastors.
Mhm.
I'm just being honest. Like I don't
Mhm.
like silly.
Mhm.
And
And by silly, you mean like, you know, it's a show. It's always a show when you go.
yeah, he just seems like it just feels inauthentic,
Mhm.
and he just seems like like he's putting on a show. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like he
Mhm.
just seems silly,
Mhm.
and um and then again with the whole joking,
Mhm.
like I don't know why pastors feel like they need to be stand-up comedians today. Like we
Mhm.
got to tell jokes, and
Mhm. Mhm.
we got to say funny things. And
Mhm.
but if I was there, we wouldn't be there, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like if this wasn't the first incident, or I think you would probably notice some of these things in a person's character,
Mhm.
and it would be like, yeah, this is probably not, not the place.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But here's the deal. Again, how people act at times is really telling of the culture. Like for him to do that to some degree says what the culture is like.
Mm.
If he feels comfortable enough to plagiarize a whole sermon,
Mhm.
a message, an apology,
Mhm.
he had to have feel like this is good, and like nobody's gonna look for this. Nobody's
Mhm.
gonna, you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna do any research on this.
Right.
Nobody's gonna, you see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And if it wasn't caught by somebody outside that community, that it wasn't caught by somebody outside the community, they would never know about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
it also tells you just what's happening within that particular community. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, again, there's probably some unhealthiness that's going on there. And I can tell you that this is not the first time. Like, there's
Mhm.
been other things that are there. But I don't know. I think it's an interesting situation. But I will say this. I think this also points to the how far, I don't know how to say this. Like I feel like this is kind of a reflection of the damage that the megachurch environment, has kind of done to, I kind of don't want to repeat what we've already said, but to pastors, in
Mhm.
terms of like everything's about this cultivated, carefully crafted
Mhm.
show.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's nothing authentic about it. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like
Mhm.
the sermons are 30 minutes on the dot.
Mhm.
They're you know what I mean? They don't even write half of it themselves now.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it's not like it's written by the pastor himself. They usually have sermon writing teams, and people come
Wow.
together and they work on a sermon. And
They do that? There's churches that do that?
yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if he didn't write this apology and somebody wrote it for him, and
Oh,
he just said it.
yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Mhm.
there's no telling, because it's an organization. I mean, think about it. A CEO of an organization doesn't write his
Y
speeches and
You're
all that
right.
type of stuff.
You're
So
right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't pen this himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I think it's just showing the bankruptness,
Mhm.
if that's a word.
Mhm.
It's showing
Mhm.
the bankruptness of the mega church, culture,
Mhm.
and the pastors within the mega church, culture.
Yeah.
Again, where everything focuses on the leader,
Mhm.
and again, that very carefully crafted personality
Yeah.
and doing everything right. And that's why I said both of them kind of seemed pretty plastic to me. If I could just be honest, they both seemed like, like, I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
again, it's just presentation, I love you, and I just hope to be able to do this. And again, that could be,
Decades and decades. And
it
yeah.
just sounded really just, like, let's get past this and let's move on. But I want to do it in a way that's professional, that,
Yeah.
and then again, he's talking to the camera because he's really talking to the individual who busted him out pretty much, I mean, but again, I don't know, Lisa, this is just sad all the way around.
It is.
It's just
It
sad.
is. Yeah.
It's sad. I think it just shows how far we've fallen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
That's why for me, like I said, like, I don't know. I just don't know if pastors should have online ministries. I mean, there's no need for a pastor or church to have a ministry to reach the world, preaching on Sunday to reach the world.
Yeah.
I understand, the sick and the shut in, different things of that sort.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to cultivate that, but again, I don't know. And again, that's a whole different discussion, but yeah, I just think that this shows how bankrupt, the mega church is, and how we would go, or how this individual will go as far as to plagiarize an apology, and not write an apology, plagiarize an apology, in order to restore his image before people that he says he serves.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, okay, so let's say he responds to this. Do you think that if he does have a writing team, as you said, some churches have that. So let's say if he's like, hey, this was something that my writers, wrote for me. I've already taken care of the person that plagiarized this. That was not my intention, how would that still be wrong to you?
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
Yes. For one, because go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I asked you a question and I'm gonna answer.
Go ahead. That's cool.
But I just feel like, if he's if he has a writing team, I just already think that that's crazy. I didn't even know that was possible, but it makes sense now, But number two is if I'm a pastor apologizing to a church, I would want to be as authentic. I would want to be, I would feel shame for one. If I have to do this, I'm feeling there's something that I've done where I've hurt people. So I would genuinely be feeling hurt, while I'm doing that. I wouldn't be like, hey, I love you. It just, it wouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? It would be more, that's what I would look for as a congregant. Because what if I'm one of the ones that were offended by what you said?
Absolutely.
And apparently I'm a woman. I've had a wedding night. You know what I'm saying? So I probably would be offended by what he said. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no, I agree 110%. But I think the difference is that we're looking at this from the outside in. So we probably would not have even gotten to that point. Right. I think that there are certain things that are just accepted with megachurch culture. Right. It's not going to be surprising. The reason why it's surprising to you that there's a writing team is because you saw me writing messages. Like, you're just like, you saw the study, you saw, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, you see, but in a mega church environment, it's just, there's certain things that come along with it. Right. And I'm not saying that happens everywhere, but that happens a lot. Half these guys aren't writing this stuff.
Wow.
It's sad, but the reality is like, it would have never gotten to that point because I'm not sure people are expecting the pastor. See, listen, so the question, is also like, why are people following these leaders? Like, why do they go to this church or why are they a part of this community? Why are they, like I said, like, if you're used to having a relationship or if you're used to following a pastor that you don't have a relationship with, then it's not going to, it shouldn't, in my opinion, surprise you on whether or not he writes his messages.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have a relationship with him anyway. Like, what
Yeah.
more can you expect from him? Do you really expect him to be sincere about meeting someone he's never met? That's why I said this apology thing tells us more about what he believes about the church.
Right.
He doesn't know the people he's pastoring.
Mm.
It's a mega church.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have relationships with those people. He's
Right.
talking to a camera.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like he's looking at the camera.
Yeah.
And he's apologizing, right?
Yeah.
So why would he carefully cultivate or sit down in the dark alone and write that apology?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, if he comes out and he says that the writing team did it, then he has no integrity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know our poor baby is getting something because we got something going on in this house. So,
but yeah, like I don't know. Like I just figure, what was I saying?
No, you were saying there would be an integrity.
Oh
issue
yeah. If he blames it on somebody else, that's an integrity issue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is you.
Yeah.
You didn't. You read it.
Yeah.
You did what you're supposed to do. He has to take responsibility for it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't know what the leadership structure is. You don't know. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of like the question I put out there about an executive leadership team and all of this type of stuff. We'll talk about it. But again, like this is part of the problem.
Yeah.
You got to do these extra biblical things in order to keep people in line.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be set down.
Yeah.
Not forever maybe, but he definitely needs to work some things out within his character, because it's like, why do you need to lie about something like that?
Yeah.
Just write an apology.
Mm-hmm. Or just say an apology.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't have to write nothing. You know what I mean? Just come out and be authentic yourself and humbled and apologize.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? Like, why would you feel like you need to copy it?
Yeah.
Again, like I said, this to me just tells me what he thinks about the people that he's leading and how they should think about him. But anyway, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, you can go to Julie Roy's at the Roy's Report to get all of the information and to see what he's said before, and then also compare it to this. But again, this is a mess. So we'd love to hear your comments below. Please like, rate, and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast at, and we'll talk to you soon.
Good night.
Good night.